Hello, everyone. This is Dominic Copeland, and this podcast is The Ish That Needs to Be Said. Now, I can't curse officially, so instead of saying, the stuff you flush down the toilet, I have to say the ish that needs to be said. So this podcast is about the things that need to be said, but the things that we seldom say. It's about all the things that are happening in our world today that we need to talk about, that we need to conversate about, that we're not willing to do so. But I'm going to be the one that sits out there and says, you know what? Someone's got to say it, so I guess it's got to be me. So if it's got to be me, you know what? Let's do it. So today I want to start to talk to you about, first I want to bring up my pledge to humanity, because I think it's important for us to pledge what we are, what we stand for, who we're about, what we're about, who we are, what we stand for. And first, I want to pledge to you my feelings about humanity and how I feel about our unity and how we should be standing together. If you are Black or African American, as they say, a brother or a sister to me through the color of your skin and the content of your character, I stand with you. If you're a woman, I stand with you. If you're Jewish, I stand with you. If you're amongst my Muslim brothers and sisters, I stand with you. If you're a BIPOC, I stand with you. If you're Asian, I stand with you. If you're LGBTQ plus, non-binary or otherwise, I stand with you. No matter the color of your skin, the name of your religion, if you're a good character, I stand with you. And not only do I stand with you, I stand for you. Even though I may not always agree with you, even though I may wish that our relationship were better, even though I may wish that you treated my people with more respect and dignity, I choose to defend your rights as vehemently as I defend my own rights. I defend your life as vehemently as I defend my own life. I do so knowing that once they come for you, next, they will come for me. And if I choose not to stand for you or foolishly believe that I can stand alone, then they will win and we will lose. We'll lose our liberty. We'll lose our freedoms. We will lose our humanity. And then we will lose our lives. So, my friend, I stand with you. And my belief and my hope is that you will also stand with me. That we'll be able to, at some point, overcome the things that have divided us, the things that hold us back, the things that keep us apart, the invisible walls that keep us separated. That we will overcome, we will dismantle, we will move those aside, we will step above and beyond those and come together to forge a greater understanding, a greater difference, a greater enlightenment in this thing we call humanity on this planet that we call Earth, as we stand together, united, because the only way that we're going to get through what's ahead of us is together. We can choose not to stand together, and that's fine. We have that option. And that's something that we've been doing. But where has that gotten us? When we look out to the world today, look at all the things that we're facing. I just start here in the United States of America. Recently, we've legalized marijuana. Now, I, for one, don't think marijuana should ever be criminalized and people shouldn't have been going to jail for it. But it takes on a different nature when things are legalized, not only legalized, but fully supported. And I always ask myself, why? Why now? Gambling is the same thing. Gambling considered one of the great vices of our society. Now we quick to legalize it. Now we're quick to promote it. Now it's on every commercial that you can think of. Gambling is a great thing, a wonderful thing. So much fun for us all to have. That's the way that it's been depicted amongst our society. All these things to keep us from seeing what is around us, all these distractions, all these illusions to keep us focused where? I ask myself, why this, why now? See, my friends, there's many different complex answers to that. Some of it has to do with finances. Government wants more money, so now the things that were once illegal now become legal because they need that extra or desire that extra financial support. So now marijuana becomes legal, gambling becomes legal, and becomes a legal source of additional revenue for the government. But where does that leave you? Where does that leave us? Where does that leave our society? When people are constantly high, constantly gaming, constantly doing everything but paying attention to what's happening to and around them. Let me ask you, do you think the world is the type of world that you desire it to be? And if not, then I have to ask you. If not, then I have to ask you, how can we create it to be the world that we desire it to be? Who are the ones that are going to do that? How's that going to happen? Now, Barack Obama, former President Obama, said that we are the ones that we've been waiting for. And regardless of your politics or how you might feel about this individual, I find myself having to agree with that. Because, my friends, if we don't make that change today, I'm not sure who's going to be the ones to. Do you know? There's someone else out there? Is there someone waiting? Is there someone in the background? Is there some magical creature or being that's going to manifest and appear and all of a sudden say, you know what? I'll take care of all this for you. Don't worry about it. And anyone that should happen to do that, I would question and I would wonder and I would be deeply concerned and worried about, because they're probably not coming for your best interest. They're probably coming for you and the things you love, the things you value most. So I'd stay away from someone that's magical and all of a sudden going to make all of our problems go away. Problems aren't going to go away, my friends, until we do something about them to help them go away. Change will not come until we decide to change, until we do the work, until we get our hands dirty, until we wake up from our marijuana-induced slumber, our comedic type state, until we wake up and say, stop gambling, wasting away all of our funds, and say, there's something not quite right here. There's something greater that needs to be addressed, from our climate to the present state of our political system to what's happening on a global basis. My friends, on a global basis. I mean, just find myself having to laugh. Because just look at where we stand in our own political system here in the United States of America. Now, regardless of whatever you want to think about it, first of all, let me address this, because this needs to be said. This is the ish that really needs to be said, right? America, and no matter who you are, no matter how great you believe yourself to be, there's always areas for you to improve, to get better, to change, to be different, and things change. So you yourself may need to change as those things change. To sit back and say that we're the greatest country and we don't need to change, we don't need to grow, we don't need to be anything different than what we are or to be better, I simply cannot agree with that. Because you know what? The flag, our flag of the United States of America, it represents an ideal. Our Declaration of Independence, it represents an ideal. And it's up to us to uphold to that ideal. And that's why that flag is there as a representation to what we need to uphold to. That's why our declarations are there. That's why our pledges are there. Not for us to stay as we are and simply dedicate ourselves to them being the lesser of who we can be, but for us to rise to be the better part of what those pledges and those flags stand for. So for anyone that says to you, you know what? If you don't like it, leave. That's the most un-American thing I've ever heard in my life. Because guess what? If your ancestors, if your grandfathers, your grandmothers, your uncles, your cousins, those that came before you, if they decided that they didn't like it, so they just left, there'd be no United States of America. Every right that you have, that you enjoy, the ability for you to even say, if you don't like it, leave. Someone had to fight, die for, and give their life for. That's how the United States of America was forged. That's how democracy has been forged. And there's always been people fighting against that democratic state of being. And there's always been the people who have to rise up, the people who have to do their part to get involved to make a difference. I just had to get off. That's really the issue that needs to be said, because we have this disillusionment about what it means to be an American. It doesn't mean you simply go along. It doesn't mean you simply stand up and pledge to whatever is being said. It doesn't mean you simply stand for the flag. It means that you're willing to uphold our nation to the values that are represented by that flag, to the values that are represented by the Pledge of Allegiance. If you're asking someone to pledge allegiance, then what is there for to pledge allegiance to? Because the United States of America, and I'm not saying we're a bad country, a horrible country. I do believe there's great things about the United States of America, and globally compared to many other things out there, we do some great things, right? I do believe that. But I also believe we keep ourselves from being greater, and we allow ourselves to be circumvented by special interests, by corporate interest, and other things of that nature, instead of us being able to come together and stand up for what's right. Without the will and the say of the people, and I'll say this again because it's one of the realest things I might ever say in my life. Without the will and the say of the people, democracy cannot exist. Democracy simply cannot persist. Without the will and the say of the people, there is no democracy. And we've already fallen when we no longer have the voice of the people. Today, when I look out to our landscape, our political landscape, and politics, there's something else for you, something else that needs to be said. Politics, right? People say, if you want to start a fight or argument, discuss religion, politics, sex, and things of that nature. Now, politics are supposed to be civil discourse. Instead of leading to wars, you have politics to mitigate those situations, to mitigate our differences, right? Politics is a language and a style of communication of its own that leads us to hopefully something more productive. And when politics fails, when those people stop listening, when people stop acting upon the things that have been heard, when that happens, then, my friends, we have war. Politics is a civil way of mitigating our differences. Politics is a civil way of coming together and making sure that our interests are represented, and make sure we represent the interests of those others that need to be represented, that need to have seats at the table, but may not. That's what politics are there to represent them and help them. So when I look around to our state of the world today, the politics that govern us, my friends, I had the issue that needs to be said on this one, my friends, is how can we have a person that is 80-something years old representing the will and the say of the people? Or how can we be battling to have someone else that's in their 70s do the same thing? Both these individuals are well beyond the age of retirement. Are you telling me that there's no one else within the pipeline that can represent better the interest of America, the interest and the will of the people? I just have a hard time believing that. And even worse, it's a breakdown in our system. And what do I mean by that? I mean, we have people holding on to power for the sake of power. That's not what democracy is supposed to be about. That's not how this is supposed to work. When you have the peaceful transfer of power, You can only have the peaceful transfer of power if those in power are willing to develop others to be in power. And when their time comes, to pass that power along. Because truly, here in the United States of America, the position you're in is transitory. The power you have is transitory. And you're meant to pass that along because the true power you've been gifted with by the people, for the people, of the people. And without that, you don't have that power. Now, it's been different because that's been circumvented through special interests, corporate interests, and so forth. But that's still the way that it's supposed to work. So if we have to have people literally dying out of office in their 80s or 90s, we're going to be in trouble. We are in trouble because we're not developing the pipeline of growth. We're not developing the pipeline of succession that should be naturally occurring and happening. Instead, we have people that are holding on for dear life, literally for dear life, to their positions. And I'm not sure how. I'll say this, me at the age I am, my interests are different. And my station in life is different than someone that's in their 20s, right? Someone that's a teenager. It's different. That's just naturally occurring. That happens. Now, even from where I am, someone that's in their 70s, 80s, or 90s, they come from a different mold, a different state of being, a different time. And for them to be well beyond the age of retirement, but to be in the highest office of the land, I'm not sure why we don't question that. I'm not sure why we don't say, you know what? We need to be developing a pipeline of succession that's going to have people who can better represent the current state today and tomorrow, the well-being of our nation. And that would be in our best interest. So to me, to look upon where we're at right now, like I said, I stand with those who stand for a better way, with those who stand for not just justice, but those who stand for opportunities for others, those who are of good character, who care for others, those who aren't just looking to have a seat at the table so that they could be represented and those who look like them could be represented, but so that others can have access and also have seats at the table, so that we can have a true democracy developed with robust and meaningful politics that help to move us forward, not get us mired and stuck as we are today. Our whole political system, I feel, has failed us. It's failed the people, and it needs a change. Change must come, and it will come one way or the other. We just don't want it to be the change that we don't want to see, right? We don't want it to be the change that impacts us in negative ways or takes away from what we can be as a nation. I think and I believe that we as a nation should be pushing for what's next. How can we grow? How are we going to improve? How are we going to truly be that United States of America, standing up for the truest ideals of who we are, some of the greatest ideals of humanity? How are we going to be that going forward? What is our plan? There's some other countries that have 100-year plan for who they are and where they're going to be. United States of America, I'm asking you, what's our plan for next year? What's our plan from 5 years from now? A plan that we set, we the people. I just don't see that there. I see a plan that's being set, an agenda that's being set for us, but not by us. An agenda that doesn't represent the best will of the people and how we're going to grow, how we're going to be a beacon of light, as it once was said, the beacon upon the hill, reflecting its bright light for all the world to see, a calling for all those who yearn for freedom, for all those who yearn for a better life, for all those who yearn for a better tomorrow. We, the United States of America, can be that beacon. We can be that bright light. We can represent a better way. But that has to be in the interest of all. We cannot simply serve the interest of a few. I know many of you are scared. I know many of you are tired. We've been through some great struggles, some great adversity over these last few years, and even before that. So it's easier to hold on. It's easier to close ranks. It's easier to push out and fight for the little bit that you feel that you have. But there's so much more that is there if we're able to open ourselves up to it and look and truly see what's happening. It's not your neighbors that are taken from you. It's not your brothers and sisters that are around you. Most of them are in the same situation as you. But if we are able to come together, we can shift the tides. We can change the rising waters. And we can find our way to a better way. So again, my name is Dominic Copeland. This podcast, we're just getting started. It's just the beginning, the ish that needs to be said. And I'm going to continue to say it. Please hit the like button, subscribe. Come be a part of this beautiful journey that we're going to be on together. Come be a part of our growth, our development. Come be a part of the enlightenment and the elevation of humanity, of our nation, of our world. I'm inviting you to join me. Dominic Copeland, the ish that needs to be said.